Would you take North Carolina if you could? I would need really long odds. I would love to see it happen. It's just hard to take a team from the ACC when Clemson's rolling the way they are.
Well, here, another way to phrase it. North Carolina or Miami?
North Carolina. I think North Carolina's got the better defense. I think that all of the starters from the bowl game are back on the defensive side of the ball, and a secondary that has like Tony Grimes, Jacarius Conley, Storm Duck. Like that might be one.
That's an awesome name.
I know. I'm working on an argument that they've got the most talented secondary in the ACC. I feel like, well, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I feel like that is a side of the ball that kind of let them down as Sam Howell was lighting them up. They've just were so young and inexperienced. And so if that group comes along and Howell has a good season, then absolutely North Carolina is the second best team in the ACC. Where I think it becomes interesting is sort of within the North Carolina program, because like the question I'm going to pose to a lot of people around the program in the coming months or the coming weeks are, how much does the presence of Clemson, which has dominated the ACC in ways that are mostly unprecedented and don't happen except for a few cases throughout college football at the power conference level, how much does the presence of Clemson put a ceiling on what the team believes it can do? You know, how much does like, no, we're just shooting for second place? Or on the flip side of it, does a North Carolina team that had Clemson on the ropes on a 2-point conversion try with its then freshman quarterback and still several players from that team back, do they say, nah, we got one crack at Clemson and we went blow for blow with them? And do they have the confidence that they could win? Because I think that, you know, they don't play Clemson in the regular season. And I don't think that North Carolina can lose to Clemson in the ACC championship game and make the playoff. But everything about North Carolina's ceiling has to be whether or not it's going to eliminate the Florida State and Virginia loss, you know, a couple of 1-score losses against teams they probably should have beat. And number two, is there just already like a mental cap in what you think you can accomplish because Clemson's been so dominant?
Okay, well then, Danny, here's a question for you, for my ACC boys. I see just to answer the question I asked you, Chip. I think North Carolina, Miami's kind of a coin flip, to be honest. But Clemson's made it, Florida State's made it. If not Miami or North Carolina, which ACC school would be the most likely to make it, if not one of those four?
Wolfpack.
Really?
NC State. Quarterback back, had a pretty strong year. They were 8-4 last year. I mean, who else would it be?
No,
I'm saying this year. You think it's somebody else?
I mean like long term, not just 2021.
Okay. Long term, then we go back to the talent composite thing, and then it's maybe well, I don't sound like a homer, but like maybe in a few years, you know, is it Florida State?
No, Florida State's not eligible.
Oh, that's right. They're not eligible. Yep.
I don't think the middle of the ACC from a recruiting standpoint is not consistent. Like Pitt and Virginia had good recruiting years, and they finished like 4th and 5th in the ACC in this past cycle. NC State does okay in terms of recruiting, but I feel like a lot of its success is also a little bit of player development, which has been great, right? I mean, that's sort of like what they do. They go into Smithfield, North Carolina, and they go into Eastern North Carolina, and they find players, and they're like, if you come into our strength and conditioning and our coaching, our player development, we'll send you off to the NFL. And that's been something that they can pitch. That's been something that they can back up. But I kind of think that it is a little bit of a drop off. I would not take Virginia Tech in its current state.
I'm happy. I wanted to say how many teams people mentioned before they mentioned Virginia Tech.
Yeah, you mentioned Virginia Tech because they played in a national championship game. They played in BCS bowls. Unfortunately, there was a run where I think the ACC's record in BCS bowl games was like 2-13. And I feel like there were a lot of ACC champion Virginia Tech Hokies that lost in Orange Bowls throughout that time. And that's like sort of contributed to that idea.
Yeah, there are Hokie fans listening to us right now who are getting mad, not at us, but just getting mad at the situation, because I don't think any of us have said anything that's inaccurate about the situation.
How about, and the talent composite bunched up, similar talent level, NC State at 33rd, Georgia Tech 34th, Virginia Tech 36th, Pitt at 37th. You know, so it's like a bunch of these teams with like decent rosters, but they're just not great rosters.
Hey, great for going 8-4.
Right.
Yeah, when you've got like the 34th most talented team, and by the way, shout out to Jeff Collins for having his team up at like in the 30s. When you consider some of the turnover there, but that's why we saw freshman quarterback, true freshman Jahmyr Gibbs, all those things. But I think there is a big drop off. Clemson's made it. Florida State made the first one. Clemson's made it a billion times. I think that I don't even know if North Carolina and Miami is the next part of the conversation moving forward. I think so.